Working from home is becoming the new. Sorry. Working from home is definitely becoming the new normal. Working from home is definitely becoming the new normal. Even with the pandemic ending in the horizon, as companies are allowing employees to work from home indefinitely, and some employees are almost expecting it. With the pandemic, employers learned that they can trust their employees that they're going to get their work done regardless of where they may be. Many companies at the start of the pandemic were offering stipends to help pay for office supplies or even a better home setup to be more productive and get work done. Now, with that said, I firmly believe that your environment is important to really set the mood for whatever you're trying to achieve or just to relax. So I guess you can say I'm a firm believer of Feng Shui. Now, before we get started, I'll share all the places I looked in order to purchase the furniture in my home, as well as the places that I looked into but ended up not even buying from. Not because they were bad, but just because they didn't have what exactly that I was looking for. So the places that I visited was CORT, C-O-R-T, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, Wayfair, and Amazon. With that, let's get into it. Now, this is my first apartment, and I decided to invest a decent amount into every aspect of my 790 square feet apartment here in Texas. Obviously, this isn't necessary to spend this much to furnish your apartment, but if you're able to, I believe in the long run, it is worthwhile to invest in high quality pieces that you are for certain will be with you for a while. Now, for me, this wasn't every piece of furniture in my entire home. I actually just got them down to 3 pieces of items that I found worthwhile investing as things that will probably hold for the long term. So the first one being my couch that I'm sitting on. The second one, my TV stand, and thirdly, the bed. The reasons that I saw these as the most critical is that from my personal experience of moving in and out of different homes with my family or helping friends move out, some items just seem like a routine mess and sometimes even a hassle. And it was always the 3 above that seemed like it the most. See, cheap couches from IKEA or wherever may be cheap initially, but it only leaves you buying another couch when you end up moving 2 to 4 years later, which is generally the average amount of times people move in their 20s. Now, I don't know the exact number, but in general, the average American moves about 11 times in their lifetime. Now, imagine buying a new couch 11 times. That can add up. Now, I bought my couch from CORT, which is a company that sells mostly to high-end corporate clients, so all their stuff is very premium. However, whenever their stuff is returned after being leased, they're usually graded on a quality scale from A to literally F. And generally anything that's above a D, they're willing to sell it to the public. Now, number 2. TV stands. People get new TV sizes like every time they move, generally because they're getting a larger TV or because the console that they owned looks outdated or is just old and it just isn't working out. It also locks you into a specific style when you get that TV stand. So if you care to have a certain aesthetic, my solution to this was essentially investing into something that is timeless and really blends well regardless of what aesthetic or design that you're going for in your home. And for that, it was a mounted TV. Yes, it costs just a bit more than your average stand, but when I move, the wall mount is easily removable and I can take it with me and install it rather easily. And even if I have to hire someone to install it, it generally costs $100, so I wouldn't even have to buy a whole new stand, again, which creates more waste and is further pointless. Next up, the bed. Beds are complicated because when you're in a dorm or in a college, you don't really have the space or luxury to have a large bed. So when you get your own place, you generally have a twin size or a queen size bed. Now, as such, every time you move, you're having to buy a completely new bed frame and headboard and etc. Even if you buy the cheap ones, this process over and over leads to a lot of waste, but also waste of money. And beds, like TV stands, can get outdated in terms of style and aesthetic. However, the style that I found that is quite timeless is your usual platform or low-level beds. I ended up purchasing the Floyd bed, which is what makes it particularly great outside of it all being manufactured in the US, is that the bed grows with you. And I'm not talking about those weird sponges things that we bought in book fairs in elementary school where you put it in water and it like grows to be a bigger size. What I'm talking about is a little bit better than that. See, whenever you're upgrading upgrading, let's say from a twin to a king size bed, you don't have to buy a completely new bed frame. You essentially just buy this plank that they sell and it just slots into your current bed. So it makes your bed grow with you and also helps you minimize waste and also saves you a little bit of money in your wallet not having to buy a whole new set. Now the rest of my living room I pieced together were more on the lower end in terms of cost and things that I didn't seem as vital. So there were my accent chair, my coffee table, and my rug. All these items I was actually able to purchase from Wayfair, and the purpose of these items weren't so much to function but for aesthetic, and that's why I determined they were worth going lower on the price point for. My poster frames I got from Hobby Lobby, which I would advise going with multiple friends as you can take the online coupon that gets you about 40% off most items, but it's only one per customer. And so if you take multiple friends, say, hey, we're all buying frames, they can all use it individually and then they just can give it to you. I found them to be a lot more affordable compared to going to Amazon and then getting it delivered. Next up, my bedroom lamps. I got my lamps in my bedroom from IKEA, each costing about $10 as they were super affordable. They really leveled up the environment, especially when you mount them to the wall, which gives them a very unique look that in my experience hasn't been commonly found. I also painted, my girlfriend painted both the living room and the bedroom, which surprisingly most people don't know, but most apartments allow you to paint your apartment long as you paint it back to the color it was, or just pay a small fee, which honestly I would highly advise doing because it costs roughly about $100 and about 2 days worth of labor to get it painted. So I imagine it would be the same amount of time to turn it back to the color it was given to you. So all in all, for about 4 days of labor and $200 in cost to have your apartment be exactly the way you want it to be for a place that you're paying $500 or $1,500 a month for about a year or more, it's worthwhile to just go ahead and invest and just make that happen so you can be truly happy in the space that you're living in. The next big project that we had took on was that we wanted to have a really large table that we both could work on, which eventually ended up not being the desk that we could both work on because we just don't really work together really well, mostly because I bothered her a lot. So the entire desk is mine now, but we did get a separate desk in the bedroom. Now what we're trying to find is that we essentially wanted a table that was aesthetically pleasing, complementing to the environment, but also being about 7 feet wide. Unfortunately, all the viable options that we were able to find, ready to purchase and use, were either not what we wanted, or the one that we wanted was $7,000, which I don't know how you can get a table to cost that much unless it was made out of vibranium, but that's a different combo. Anyway, we went to the hardware store, bought some wood, clamps, polyurethane coating, and fortunately, my girlfriend's dad had a lot of the equipment that we needed. But even if you were to go buy the equipment, it would only add maybe another $100 or $200 into your total tab. But all the materials that we needed to make the table cost us roughly about $200 and about 3 days of labor, and that includes just us waiting for the sealer to solidify, which took about 24 hours. And then lastly, we bought the hairpin legs from hairpinlegs.com, which was about, I forget, but it was all relatively very affordable. It was less than $100. So whether you choose to work from home indefinitely or more often, or even not at all, I still believe it's worthwhile to invest in your furniture and the place you live and spend most of your time, if you're able to. I know it has made my place feel more like home and not just a space I occupy. Now, let me know below the ways you spruce up your apartment or any tips you may have for me or anybody else who reads the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please like this video and subscribe if you'd like to see, or if you're slightly curious on what my next video will be about. Till next time, peace.